So I'd like to get to know you guys a little bit. Who here in the audience works for a drug or device manufacturer or a non-clinical service provider? A couple, okay. Who is a doctor or works at a provider organization? More, okay. Do we have some payers in the audience? Henry, I know you're here. Good, a few. Okay, last question. Who here is or ever has been a patient? Oh, look at that, all of us. Yeah. So it turns out we're all consumers of healthcare. And I think if I also asked the question, and Joe Kvedar touched on this today, who's ever had a healthcare experience that they imagine could have been a little better, a little faster, the hands are shooting up all over the place, a little easier? I think everyone would put their hands up again. I think we can agree that healthcare is an industry that needs improvement and innovation. I am passionate about innovation. And I want to give a shout out to Anthony Chang and my peers from the International Society for Pediatric Innovation that came in yesterday for an early meeting. And I think there was a lot of passion around healthcare innovation in that room, too. So I get a kick out of this cartoon, and it's sadly too typical. It says, this is really an innovative approach, but I'm afraid we can't consider it. It's never been done before. Well, I'm happy to say I work at Boston Children's Hospital, where we know that the definition of innovation is exactly to do new things. Boston Children's Hospital created my role almost 5 years ago. I'm the Chief Innovation Officer. And I think this is an indication of the strong commitment that Boston Children's Hospital has to pediatric innovation. I lead the Innovation Acceleration Program. Our mission is to enhance the culture of innovation and accelerate care delivery at Boston Children's Hospital. So in reflecting on my experiences at Boston Children's Hospital and all the things that I've seen over the years, I wanted to share with you some lessons I've learned. And I actually have about 25 lessons, but they wouldn't give me 2 hours today on the agenda. So I'm going to talk to you about 3 areas of interest. So first of all, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about who can innovate. My second set of lessons is going to come from how do you innovate. And the last set of lessons are on ROI. Ooh, I just saw a ripple go through the room among the financial folks. Well, I'm actually not talking about the ROI that you might be thinking of. I'm going to talk about return on innovation, ROI. So let's get started. Who can innovate? Well, the quick answer is almost anyone. And actually, at Boston Children's Hospital, we see a lot of people innovating. Our clinical chiefs are tremendous innovators. We have some rock star department heads and clinical chiefs who are doing a lot of amazing innovation. And this is just an example of 4 of them. And they have come up with new devices, new therapies, new procedures, new digital solutions. Our doctors are innovative, as you would expect. And we have a lot of them. But they're not the only clinicians at Boston Children's Hospital that innovate. Our nurses are also phenomenal innovators. And this is a picture of Karen Sakakini. She's been a cardiac nurse at Boston Children's Hospital for 25 years. And when she does cardiac surgery with her team, she's responsible for helping cool down the babies. And they do that to protect the brain and the heart during surgery. And then after the surgery's over, the babies need to be rewarmed to bring their body temperature up to normal. And Karen thought that the tools that were available to her to help her rewarm the babies, the water baths, the blankets, the thermostat on the wall, really weren't that effective. And she thought there ought to be a better way, and she wanted to innovate. And so she thought about the fact that you lose 60% of your body heat through your head, and she came up with the idea of a thermal hat for rewarming babies. And she applied for an investment grant, got the money, and came up with a wonderful Mylar hat. You can see it on this adorable baby here. It's modeling Karen's innovation. And the way it works is it lies flat on the operating table. It goes on turban style and is affixed with Velcro in the front. And some of you may know about Karen's wonderful odyssey as an innovator. I don't know if you know the latest installment, which is our tech transfer office. Tito has successfully licensed this technology out, and we're now looking for a manufacturer who will build these and make them so that we can have them back at Boston Children's Hospital. So I mentioned that Karen got an Innovestment grant. I want to just spend a minute talking about this Innovation Acceleration Program. This program is a seed fund that people can apply when they need small bits of funding to get going. It's under the very capable leadership of Carla Small, and we've done 6 rounds of Innovestment grants and given over 37 awards, including Karen's. So who else can innovate around Boston Children's Hospital? Well, our residents and fellows are actually innovators. These are very newly minted doctors or doctors early in their career. One example of an innovative resident is Dr. Timmy Ho. So Timmy didn't think that the way he was keeping track of the tasks that he had to do as a resident, writing them on pieces of paper or keeping them in his pocket, was really that efficient. And so he applied for a FIT award to help him come up with a new approach. And the solution that Timmy and the FIT team came up with was a mobile app that we call Tasklist that allows residents to keep track of their clinical tasks and then facilitate a digital rather than paper handoff between residents. And what we learned is that actually the idea of a mobile, patient-centered clinical task list is appealing to a lot of doctors at Boston Children's, and we're thinking about modifying this tool now so it can be used in some of the other specialties. Now, I mentioned that Timmy had a FIT award. If you're wondering what that is, FIT stands for Fast Track Innovation and Technology Award. And this is a program in the Innovation Acceleration Program to help innovators who want to build a new piece of clinical software or a new mobile app. And if they win a FIT award, they don't get money like they would with an Innovestment grant program. Rather, they get time with the FIT team under the very outstanding leadership of Alex Peltier. She and her team sit with the innovators, and they actually build out the solution. So at the end of about 3 months, innovators have something that can be tested at Boston Children's Hospital, and the FIT team supports them through the prototyping phase and the piloting. And this is really a very unique resource that you don't find anywhere else. And the FIT team has been so instrumental in making sure that we have more digital innovation at Boston Children's. So who else can innovate? Well, our staff innovates too. A group from our marketing department recognized that it was kind of hard for some of our patients to navigate through our hospital, make their way to the doctor or the clinic. And you may have had the experience once before of getting lost in a hospital. And so they developed the My Way mobile wayfinding app to help patients and their families get where they need to go. So we have other innovators. It turns out that our patients, families, and even the community can help innovate around pediatric care. About 2 weeks ago, we held our second hackathon, Hacking Pediatrics 2.0, under the tremendous leadership of Dr. Mike Doctor and a team very committed to putting on a hackathon for us. And for those of you who might not know what a hackathon is, don't worry. It's nothing bad. No one's breaking into computers and stealing data. It's actually a wonderful weekend event where people who have questions or problems in pediatric care come together with engineers and developers and designers and business people, and over the course of one very intense weekend, they build out solutions. So the way it works is that at the beginning of the event, people stand up and they pitch their ideas. Teams spontaneously form, and over the course of the weekend, they plan, design, build, test, and ultimately present and compete, or present their new ideas. So we had 37 ideas pitched, and 22 teams formed up. And as I said, the patients and their families are often a core part of these teams. In fact, the winning team of the Pediatric Device Consortium prize went to Team Emma, which was led by a dad who wanted to figure out a new portable, mobile, pediatric oxygen sensor for kids with respiratory diseases. So we've been talking about who can innovate, and my team has had the opportunity to work with serial innovators who come up to bat over and over again with new ideas. We've also worked with first-time innovators, people who haven't been up to bat yet, but want to try out something new. And I've noticed that these innovators have something in common. It's not blue hair. It's actually an innovator's personality. So what are the elements of the innovator's personality? Well, the first element is sort of what Bill Taylor talked about this morning. An innovator can see into the future, see things that other people don't know are there yet. And so the innovator can actually identify problems and envision a better solution. An innovator also has lots of ideas and creativity. And one of the most important aspects of an innovator's personality is tenacity. An innovator has to be willing to keep on trying, and you see this with our innovators. They keep coming back for more. It's wonderful. So let's talk now about how to innovate, now that we understand who can innovate. So this is the innovation life cycle that I developed to explain how innovation happens in the healthcare setting. And it's 6 steps and a very tricky gap, which I call the O gap, or the operationalization gap. And some of you may be expecting me to go into some detail about the innovation life cycle, maybe even hoping I will, but I'm not going to do that today. I'm actually going to focus in on one particular aspect of the life cycle, the pilot phase. And the pilot phase, in some ways, is its own mini cycle. It involves testing and learning and potentially repeating that cycle over and over again. And I want to share with you 3 lessons that apply to the pilot phase of innovation. So the first thing I want to do is introduce you to the concept of MVP. And I'm not talking most valuable player here. I'm talking about the minimum viable product. And this is the notion that when you're innovating in the pilot phase, you want to be nimble. You want to build something light and quick to test out the idea and figure out if it works or not, and then make adjustments. You know, Bill Taylor talked this morning about building a boat and sending it out to sea and having it sink and how devastating that can be. Well, I say don't build a boat. Take a life raft. Take something light and nimble as you go out. And one of the best examples of an MVP at Boston Children's Hospital was our DISCO project. So DISCO is short for discharge communication, and this was the idea of Dr. Vinnie Chang and Israel Green Hopkins and Kelly Dunn. They wanted to see if they could come up with a communication solution to avoid some unnecessary readmissions to return to the hospital after a kid's had been discharged. So they won a FIT award, and they built the DISCO platform. And what DISCO does is it allows us to send out text messages to our patients. We ask them a couple quick questions, like, have you got your medications? Do you have your follow-up visit ready? And all that information comes back to a dashboard, which you see on the right. And so a nurse knows right away who to follow up with, who's got questions, and she can be very efficient in reaching out. And so we built, the FIT team built a very quick, nimble product. We tried it in the short stay units, so for kids coming in with a fever, admitted for just a little while, and then sent home. We learned a lot. We found this was a great idea. And then the FIT team moved on to build a more robust, scalable platform, and now we're using DISCO not just in the short stay unit, but in the more complex medical floors and for kids that are coming in for short day surgery. And we've now had hundreds and hundreds of kids and their family use the DISCO solution. So the next lesson I want to talk to you about is failure, and we've been hearing about that throughout the day. So if you're going to have an innovation and you're going to fail, it's going to happen now in the pilot phase. But failure is not terminal. I really believe that failure is the first attempt in learning, and that your failure should be a chance for you to learn and see what you can do differently. In my book, the only failure is the failure to learn. Now, you know, there's innovators out there that you could probably put on a desert island, and they would take sand and seawater and be able to innovate. They are amazing. There's a lot of other innovators that actually could benefit from some resources and support as they go through the innovation life cycle. And this is where the Innovation Acceleration Program, and in particular the Innovation Acceleration Team, pictured here, comes in. The Innovation Acceleration Team is really great at providing resources, helping people answer questions, get over barriers, navigate through that whole innovation process. This team is comprised of clinicians, doctors, we have a nurse on the team, we have people with great business smarts, we've got obviously some wonderful technical folks, and we also have people who have expertise in design and the user experience. It's a fabulous team, an amazing resource, and I'm very proud of this team. All right, so now let's get back to that concept of return on innovation. So I think the return on innovation actually comes in many forms, and I'd like to share a couple of those forms with you now. The first form that your innovation can pay dividends in is in terms of the patient experience. So one of the doctors at Boston Children's Hospital wanted to see if we could improve the inpatient experience for kids in the hospital, because he'd noticed that it often can be sort of overwhelming and confusing to be a parent and have a child in the hospital. So he won a FIT award to build My Passport. My Passport is a mobile app that really has some terrific features. First of all, it allows patients and their families to see lab results as they come back. And we built a very nice, new, different user interface with colors to help the patients and their families understand the meaning of the lab results. We also have the feature in My Passport that everyone can see who is on their child's care team. They see a picture, their role, as well as their title. And we did a pilot of My Passport, and we heard from our patients that they loved this solution. They felt empowered, they understood what was going on, they were calmer, and really a wonderful improvement to the patient experience. So return on innovation can also yield new therapies. Dr. Gina Hederi applied for an investment grant because she thought there ought to be a better way to measure intracranial pressure. The traditional method is, as you see here, with a spinal tap, and she thought that perhaps she could come up with a technique that would be non-invasive, that would involve measurement through the ear. You can imagine the tremendous benefits that this new therapy would have over the traditional method. Much more comfortable for the patient, better patient experience, but also less chance of infection and fewer side effects, like no epidural headache. Pretty fantastic. Another example of return on innovation is improved clinical efficiency. So one of the early FIT projects was to create the Alice Smart Board. And the idea was to replace the grease board that you see on the left, where we kept track of which patient was in which room and how to reach them, with a digital smart board. And what's wonderful about this digital smart board that pulls information from 4 disparate systems in real time is that it updates itself. Nurses no longer have to stand there and erase things and write up the new details. Another benefit of the Alice Digital Smart Board is that we made it available through the electronic medical record. What that means is a clinician, say 3 or 4 floors down, can actually check in the EMR whether the patient's in the room before going up there. So a nice improvement for our clinicians and a time savings for them. Another example of return on innovation can come in the form of patient safety. So this is Dr. Keir, Sarah Goldberg, Pierre DuPont, and they're the team that's come up with a patent-pending investment grant-sponsored project, HubScrub. And this is a new device to help clean central lines and reduce infection and improve patient safety. And you'll hear more about HubScrub tomorrow at the Innovation Tank. The return on innovation can also be financial in nature. Do finance folks wake up again? Yes, you can actually make money also through innovations. A great example of this is the solution that Dr. Deb Weiner, pictured here on the left, created to help her and her colleagues in the emergency department. The solution's called Beeper, and what it does is it allows the team taking care of patients to send each other quick messages. And then, as well as being able to communicate more easily, lab results are now pushed out to the doctors and nurses on the devices that they're carrying. We found in the pilot that the clinicians got lab results back 28% faster. And what that meant is a potentially more efficient emergency department. Because if you can save even 5 minutes on every patient that comes through, we could see 1,400 more patients over the course of a year with no new staffing. That's real improvement in revenue back to the hospital. So to summarize, the return on innovation comes in many forms: patient experience, new treatments, clinician efficiency, better safety, and potentially even financial benefits. Now, one more thought on the return on innovation, and I hope I have some Red Sox fans in the room. Okay, good. So and I don't want to hear who's not a Red Sox fan, okay? This is Big Papi. You will recognize him hitting a home run. So what does Big Papi have to do with innovation? Well, there's a debate around return on innovation. And some people think that the only innovation that really matters is big, major, paradigm-shifting, disruptive innovation, home runs. Others, and I put myself in this camp, don't agree. We think that the incremental improvements, the smaller innovations, the singles, the doubles, those are also very valuable. Not everyone has to be Big Papi when it comes to innovation. So in conclusion, I've talked with you about 3 lessons that I've learned as a Chief Innovation Officer, and I've used just a few of the many innovations at Boston Children's Hospital to illustrate the points. The first lesson was anyone can innovate, though there is an innovator's personality. The second thing we talked about was what happens in the pilot phase and how do you innovate then? The importance of being nimble and building the minimum viable product. And of course, the importance of failure as a learning opportunity and leveraging resources that may be available to you. And the third lesson was how the return on innovation comes in so many forms in healthcare. It's a privilege to be the Chief Innovation Officer at Boston Children's Hospital, and I've learned so much. And one of my greatest joys is working with all the innovators. So I want to thank you all. You've been a fabulous audience today. I know we don't have time set up right now to take questions, but I'd be happy to be in touch with you by email or on Twitter. I tweet frequently about innovation and digital health, and I want to thank you all very much.